Alright. Merry Christmas. I'm naughty, not so nice. Someone who wants you dead. I know when you're sleeping and I know when you wake. Got shot for the bolts in. Got your cookies, got your mail. Got my shotgun trained on the chimney. You stole my woman and all I want for Christmas is to kick your ass. All I want for Christmas is to kick your ass. White blood satin suit, looking down on me from your sleigh. All I wanted was my blue-eyed babe, but with the sack in his grin, he winked and they rode away. Got your cookies, got your mail, got my pit bull chained to the chimney. You stole my woman and all I want for Christmas is to kick your ass. All I want for Christmas.
Da hat man eben
cool is to look for the mid-control, wrap him round. Beastic playing a headshot angle as well is going to be punished for it by Tizian. Fast up connector now. Neofrag the next issue, but he's going to be flashed off his first angle of choice. They don't actually clear him. He's got his opportunity on the backstab, but he only manages one. Quick trades come through, and 2-on-3. The A-bomb site under siege. Shock the only player there, and they're actually going to loop the bomb back around. Czgo will have his opportunity from short, but he's been spotted out now as they look to transfer. Does well to deny the bomb, but he's traded out. And Shock, with no armor, does have at least the defuse kit, but he's got to find himself a 1v2.
Yeah, not going to be having an easy time doing so. Does also have a smoke, which could be very useful, especially with that bomb being planted for short, where Keto's positioned himself. First of all, though, needs to try and get past Tizian, and, well, at this point, no need for those peaks to come true. Tizian can just play for contact as soon as he finds it. Just look to try and continue wasting time around that bomb site. And, well, Shock sneaking forward. He really is taking his time. Eventually, will be given the opportunity as Tizian peeks through. As I said, now that smoke goes down and he hopes to just stick it out. But he's not going to be allowed to do so. Keto with that P250 patiently taps away. And he will be able to find himself the headshot to put Big up by 1 as they find the opening pistol. Shock gave it a nice go, I've got to say. Was just moving a little bit too slow initially, unfortunately. If he had maybe even caught that kill on Tizian a little bit quicker on the bomb site, then Keto would have been forced to try and make his move a little bit quicker and maybe would have been caught as well. But it's a decent buy from Sinners, so we'll see what they can return with the Scout and the Eagles.
Decent amount of firepower and potency coming out of this one. Of course, T-side, always a much stronger picture. 2 MAC-10s, Galil, AK-47, Searson. The Scout King picking up one of his scoped rifles, and well, they're looking for early aggression in towards B. Neofrag has actually taken out the mid lurker early, and with Beastic playing this Deagle up close and personal, looking to use it like a shotgun, they don't clear this angle diligently, they could be in a lot of trouble here. Tizian on half HP, the first one to go. Clean headshot for the second from B-Stick, and 2 on 5 now. With Keto tagged up on the AK-47, they know exactly where Big are. They've got them pinned into the apartments. The Deagle spam through the smoke, looking to get a little bit more, and there's Keto through it. Searson left to try and ace clutch. A scout lonely in the apartments, being tagged up all the while through the smoke. He'll escape, but on 40 HP... he's at least got himself an AK-47, but he's being flanked out all the while as well. Shock is ready for this retreat. He lines him up, knocks him over. And Sinners, a flawless second round force buy.
Damn, okay. Yeah, no, this is what we were getting from B-Stick yesterday as well. We've got to remember, I think it was map number 1 on Vertigo where B-Stick was just absolutely popping off. If I recall correctly, I think he had help from Csgo, who was having a pretty fantastic match as well. Obviously, though, they weren't able to keep that up, so we'll see whether that's going to be the case or not. But yeah, I mean, we're not seeing nearly anywhere strong of a force buy from Big. You don't get the scout behind those Deagles. You don't get really any nades at all. You can see just a single flash for Tabson, and that's because he's gone for the P250. So it is a little bit of an awkward spot, of course, for Big to be in, but it's an opportunity, rather, for Sinners to hopefully take a clean round and just start running away with that economy. And, well, with a charge up mid, Neofrag gets a couple on the Mac 10. Want to make sure they don't get pushed from under, as well as they're happy to just fade away and, at this point, just play back from those bomb sites. Keep the range with the rifles.
They've got the picks, they've got the Mac 10 farming up a good amount of cash as well. As you said, just not wanting to give anything away to the Deagles. Make no mistake, Big can do plenty of work if they are given an opportunity, if they are given over aggression, maybe somebody just misplacing their footing. And now those Sinners, all 5 alive, looking to make the most of this round. Bomb's still queued up top of mid. Big hoping for some aggression from that CT side off the back of the initial push up, but Sinners happy, as you said, just to sit back and wait for the hit to come, so the mid control will be taken freely. 3 Deagles to sneak their way up short. Sinners haven't gone for the early rotation at all. They've abandoned the mid control to allow them to keep 2 players over towards this B side of things, so they should have plenty of presence here. B-Stick on the Galil, a scout for the long range fight as well. It's a nice setup for the CT side if they do look to hit this B site, as Tizian and Big start to swing their way round short. The jump spots them out. Keto already down to 13 HP before he's taken a fight. They'll start to swarm in, try and get those Deagles up close and personal and see if maybe they can get a bit of damage, but they're quickly wiped away. Csgo and B-Stick, clean headshots. Sinners have their second round on the board, and I think perhaps slightly worrying for Big as they don't get any damage either. All 5 players kept up. That Mac 10 on Neofrag will keep farming into this eco, and Sinners with a perfect start to Mirage.
Yeah, that really just was fantastic. Oh, okay. Well, we were wrong about Neofrag continuing the farm, but I actually prefer that he's given the Mac 10 over towards Oscar.
Yep.
Already has pretty good money himself. Obviously, Oscar is the man who's going to be going towards the up, so every single dollar that he can find is going to be useful in the long run. And, well, we'll see whether anything at all can be done by these Glocks, because you've still got numbers, you've got a swing in on mid. I mean, we've seen this go well a few times, at least on getting that initial kill on the window player, but for the moment, you could see he didn't really want to overextend. Instead, waited for his teammate to come through on short and around connector now. Did lose 1 player, at least, rather, from his team. Wasn't able to peek through and help out any further, so he left his teammates to come through and clean it up in the end. But 1 casualty, not too bad. It was Csgo who goes down. They'll have plenty to reinvest. Oscar could even give over the Mac 10 if they want to keep 1 weaker playing weapon while they go straight over towards the op. And that might be the case, although he might also just stick to the scout and take the full bonus.
Looks like they're going
that seems to be the case. I mean, I'm good with it. Considering the least money they have is like 5,000, that makes complete sense. If you can somehow win this round, then your economy is going to be in a stupidly strong position.
I like it. It's a bold call, though. Searson with his own AWP top mid. Molly to try and flush him out the angle. He'll extinguish that with the utility, and now... again, Neofrag just aware that he can't necessarily recontest this. If they had an AWP in play, then you post someone on that corner, hope they can get a pick. Instead, the utility doing the work. Searson already down to 8 HP, but they expect the aggression. 2 players tagged up. Can they find anything from it, though? Searson top mid, low HP, will be traded down by Neofrag. Oscar has opted to aggress through the lower tons as well, and a drive-by on the Deagle to find more damage still. Tabson next. He's only got 25 HP. 1 bullet from the 50 cal will do the job. And again, Big sent into a tailspin in the mid-round. The aggression from Sinners just not quite being predicted well enough. It's Keto and Xantares to try and recover the situation. They're going to reset. Oscar will push just a little bit too far. Xantares able to punish that, but still 2 players here. Still Shock With Neofrag in support, waiting over on the A bomb site. K2 and Xantares in need of some very crisp headshots to make this one a reality. Only one smoke to try and lock one of these angles out. Bomb is going to make its way through Palace to try and give the attack a second prong. It's going to be a straight 2v2 for K2 and Xantares. If that aim can get them the early openings, if they can get an initial pick to get in towards this site, then the round is very much on. Xantares has to speed up, so the footsteps will be heard. The information now there. Neofrag, the first issue on the staircase, and he catches the bomb as it looks to make its way out. Keto on his own, swinging, but the crossfire is too good. Shock trades his teammate's death. And well, you said if they could get through that round, the economy would be blossoming, and that's exactly what happens for Sinners.
Oh yeah, no, I said it would be, I think, stupid good, and well, it's getting there. They lost obviously a few players, but it was also a lot of weaker weapons that were in play. So even if their economy might not look as good as it maybe could have if they kept some of those weaker weapons, they're still in just a very secure position because they've gone straight towards these rifles. Obviously, though, 1 or 2 SMGs maybe would have been nice to build up some even further money against these weaker weapons, but at this stage, you just want rounds, you want them cleanly, and you're getting exactly what you're looking for as there is a massacre in Connector. 4 bodies lined up. I think it may have been 3, actually. Numbers are too much for me, Wolfie.
You only just woke up.
5-1. Well, that's not explaining the full story. I woke up early, went hospital, came home, slept a bit more, and then woke up again.
Well, if you've managed to wake up, Big will be hoping they can do the same here. 5-1 down.
Early days. This is their map choice, though. That's what's scary.
Yeah. I think it is early days. There is still plenty of life in this big roster yet, but they are 5-1 down on their map pick, and the CT side, at least initially for Sinners, has looked promising, and some of the fragging from the likes of B-Stick, Neofrag, even Oscar, has looked reminiscent of yesterday, and I think that will start to put a little bit of fear into the likes of these big clan boys. If they did watch the matchup against Blink, they've been doing their homework, they'll know how lethal this roster of Sinners can be if given half a chance. This time, aggression into the B apartments. B-Stick, only on the Galil, has been set up on the tight left-hand angle. He has got players looking to clear him as well. The bomb, not necessarily committed, but plenty of presence there, and Searson catches the aggression. Sinners looking for a little more through Shock. They're able to find the punishment. B-Stick now aware that playing a cheesy one-and-done angle is not going to be good enough for him. Looks to retreat out of the B apartments onto the site and set himself up with something a little bit different. But with that early man advantage, they're going to look to just pummel into that B site. Bomb is still deep towards TV, not necessarily committed either way just yet, as Xantares and Gito look to set up a little bit of a lurk. It's going to be Xantares to catch the refrag and catch the rotations, and Sinners have abandoned the B site entirely. They think they've got a little bit of a read on this situation. They think they know where it's going to come from, and it is just completely the wrong call, unfortunately. The bomb starts to queue its way up onto the B site. The utility starts to fly over the top, and there is nobody home to meet it. Xantares on the A ramp lurk is going to have a lot more on his plate than I think he would ever expect, and Sinners, well, a decision to make. Xantares catches the first of the rotations already. A clean headshot for the second as B-Stick looks to deal with him, and now it has to be a save. Neofrag will finally deal with the lurker, but it's going to be him and Oscar holding on to what they've got into the next round as Big do strike back for their second T-side round.
In a pretty commanding fashion as well, which is what you need. You don't want to be just about scraping through a round when you've lost quite a few in a row and when your opponents have built up such an insane economy, which is the case. So yeah, 4 likely to live. I don't think they'll be hunting too much here, and honestly, I'm kind of surprised that maybe Neofrag or Oscar didn't try and do a little bit of further damage, considering how much money that they have. In Oscar's case, I mean, you have an ops, you don't want to lose that, and I guess Neofrag probably just doesn't want to lose the AK since he can't buy that back no matter what. But even just 1 or 2 more kills here would have put Big into a really horrible position in this next round with maybe even a weaker weapon or 2, and obviously would have kept them in a very fragile spot then to be broken. But they're not necessarily out of that position, even with living with the 4 players right there. As I said, still loads of money. Sinners coming right back onto the buy with a double up setup as well between Oscar and Csgo. And we've seen this being very efficient for them yesterday as well.
Yeah, they had a lot of success CT side with the double AWPs. Mirage is a somewhat different beast to Ancient, however. Utility.
And they've got Cirrus in the challenge.
Yeah, true. It's the utility that's the big difference maker for me. The early smokes, the early nades, the control that can be taken away from the AWPs, just with a couple of $300 buys. 2 smokes, and you can see already Oscar is rotating his AWP out of mid in towards CT. Csgo looking to try and make a little bit of noise on short, at least make it known that there is presence. Big again incredibly passive into this early round. Just looking to wait out utility from Sinners, see if there's any over-aggression. We've seen Searson getting a couple of picks now where Sinners have maybe tried to push the issue just a little bit too soon. Now they start to make their presence known, grouping a few up towards top mid. It looks like the mid-B split is going to be the call for now. Nobody actually in mid explicitly to contest this. B-Stick playing the ladder room and Neofrag looking to hold connector, but not a lot more than that as the nades do start to go over the top. Searson run boosted out, the mid control taken without too much hassle. Tizian just waiting for any kind of, again, over-aggression over towards the B side of things. The rest of the team queuing up in towards middle now. A couple of smokes to give them a little bit of breathing room up connector, but it's going to be B-Stick, the first man to be tested. Pop flash in, but he dodges it. Zantara is trying to drive by, doesn't get the frag. And importantly, that's bombed down as well. He catches Searson as he looks to peek. And all of a sudden, it's 3-on-5, quickly leveraged back by tabseN and Keto to keep it competitive. And Csgo has got to hold two angles at once here. Does very well to flick onto Tizian. The bomb now, knowing the position of the AWP, is looking to loop back into that A site, but they've still got to deal with Shock. Playing behind the triple boxes, wallbang down and dealt with. 6 seconds left. They will get this bomb planted. Oscar through the murder hole, not able to contest in time, and a double AWP retake for Sinners to try and achieve. Tizian shoulder peeking, it will be punished. Now it's all on Keto, looking for the quad kill to make this round a reality. He's gone deep into CT. They don't have a smoke to lock him off of that angle. And the timing is going to be absolutely everything here. Csgo clearing the initial angles, but he spots Keto, misses the first shot. Oscar looking to back him up with the deagle. Keto retreats a little bit further, that bomb ticking down all the while. He's taking these fights and it's onto Oscar. The Deegs against each other and Keto on the clock gets the frag. A 4K in the round. Big have their third. The buys are going to keep on coming for Sinners, but the clutches are starting to come out for that T side.
Yeah, I mean, that one is way closer even than the previous round, so it is just one that they barely scraped through, but, I mean, again, main thing is that they managed to win it, and it's starting to get to a position now where if they win it, they might actually slightly impact Sinners by win this one. I mean, there's probably still an investment, but at least you'd see maybe Csgo stuck on a weaker weapon, and perhaps there is a chance then for Big to even put themselves into the lead, and, well, an early pick actually going to be found from tabseN around mid. Rocking that Krieg, cutting off a player around short, I'm pretty sure that was, and that's actually going to isolate B-Stick now alone on this B bomb site, and might even force him off at a bomb site as he wants to move back over towards middle instead to fight alongside his teammates, I believe, from Connector. A little bit late though, he does realise then as the mollies start coming down, and, well, perhaps they might even be given some time to rotate. Big, taking a few seconds to move through the apartments, the up-put in position for Oscar. Pixel going to be given to him rather, and that's plenty of a shot to be landed, but his teammate on the bomb site not finding the same success, and with that, they are actually forced to concede the bomb plant. If they don't get a quick kill, a save could even be worth it.
Searson's holding for the market swing as well, gets the leg on Neofrag as he jumps over the top. And almost immediately on that damage, the save is called, but tabseN looking to hunt him down, takes Shock out of the equation. I think if they get one more pick early on onto that site, they do look to go for that. Oscar with the Molotov manages to keep them trapped in. But just not quite able to find the critical damage. A little bit lacking in the HE department. A couple of nades from above really would have finished that job for them. Instead, they find themselves holding on to an M4 and an AWP. Aggression going to come in as well. tabseN not willing to let sleeping dogs lie. He's trying to see if he can get a little bit more. Neofrag looking the wrong way. Just the AWP saved across them for Sinners. That early spree of rounds finally looking like it may well be broken. Oscar combined drop for Csgo, though. There will be one more roll of the dice. On 2,900 loss bonus, though, the next round will have to be the half-buy. It will have to be the deagles, the armor, the scraping things together. A nice resurgence from Big, just as we were starting to get worried about them as well. 5-1 down, CT side of Sinners looking good. They've just started to up the pace a little bit, and Sinners are yet to match.
If anything, I guess that's why we were seeing that slight ramp aggression. And now it's forcing them, I guess, to make a little bit of a call to stack up around this A bomb site, because without the nades and with only the one kit in play, they're not really going to be feeling too comfortable having to play for a retake.
Got good positioning, though. Big are going to look for this A site hit. They have the utility. Full execute flies over the top. Shock the first issue under dark. He has Oscar to back him up as well. It's a nice bait and switch, but the rifle just not quite able to get it done on low HP. 4-on-4, make it 3-on-4. these fights, making sure you're nice and clean through it. And Csgo, well, he'll try and be a little bit cheeky around the corner of the smoke, but Tamsin's spray down on the Krieg is just a little bit too good for it. They level things out at 6 apiece. And as much as Sinners, I think, will take the 6 rounds they got on the CT side, off that early dominance, they would have been hoping for a little bit more.
I think when you've got that early 5-1 lead, you're probably looking for maybe even 10. I mean, when you have a look at how the CT is played, the CT sides rather played out for Sinners as well yesterday especially, I think you've got to say that the CT side is something where they definitely would have wanted a little bit more for themselves. So I think at this stage, 9 is probably even the goal. If you let Big get up towards 7 or even 8, then you're going to struggle to try and get yourself back into this one. And, well, there you go, a big pick from Sirison. No pun intended at all. It is Neofrag who goes down, though, peeking in towards middle. And, well, considering they already have a severe lack of nades, Amanda's advantage is not going to make things any easier. And it looked like a very quick B-split is going to be set up, with actually most of the players coming up through short.
Nice initial pick from B-Stick. Spots out at least a couple more, so we will have 1 man in rotation, but 2 angles to hold at once. Damage from a teammate does get the kill regardless, and now B-Stick so isolated on that back bench. Too many angles, not enough time. Cleaned up by Tizian and Xantares, and again, save just has to be called. Shock and Oscar, despite the damage done, it's those...
Yeah, Sirison's one of those uppers that just hits the shots you know he should hit. And then there was the likes of Michael and Draken who would not hit those and then hit the ones that you should just never be hitting. They were always fun uppers to watch. Always exciting. I think Oscar was considering a bit of a mid push right there, but he's not going to go for it. Oh, he actually will. Never mind. That's going to be a risky one considering there's 3 players who actually are holding on right now. You're also going to see some ramp aggression from Shock. Not directly true, but just to get the close control and at least try and make it a little bit harder for Big to move forward. The lack of nades, the weaker weapons, they want to try and get up in their faces right now. And as I'd said, if you let Big past 7, then you are in a lot of trouble. So 8 at this point has got to be the goal for Sinners. And Shock is good for 1 on ramp. Will be able to then follow up with the second as well, but he's losing his teammates, which is a massive issue. And it's not even going to come towards his bomb site anymore. It's going to be B-Stick instead and trusted over in the B-Apps to try and hold this down. He's got the dig, and well, he's got the element of surprise, which is good for 1 kill at least. And really, that was the best he could get away with considering the molly under his feet.
So let's go fast to the fight in Market, but he's got a long rotation from Shock. Gonna make his way up through short. Really needs Csgo to get an early pick here, just to distract the crosshairs for long enough to allow that second teammate to swing into things. Sirison holding the angle. He's dinked through. The box is down to 6 HP now. That M4 could finish the job. Sirison shouldering it, will go down, and it's all on Tizian. 1v2 now. Looking to play the timing behind the back box. Clean spray down onto the first. Shock doesn't tap the bomb. Knows he has to find this fight, and it plays perfectly into the hands of Tizian. Big have their 8th, courtesy of a 1v2 clutch. And again, Sinners left with that what-if thought in the back of their minds. They are getting so close to finding these rounds. They are getting so close to finding success. And again, just not quite able to get it over the line. Double up setup, panic button is hit. Shock will pick up secondary duties. Looks like he's going to take that over towards the A site as Big. Already looking for some fast-paced mid-aggression. A player also pushing up the ramp very proactively. Tamsin will be dealt with in mid, however, so it's a little bit one-dimensional. Quick second pick from Shock as well. Looking for a little bit more, and he doubles up on the A ramp. Big finally being put to the sword as Shock finds his triple, and well, Tizian, you found yourself a 1v2 last round. This time it's in 1v5 ace clutch required. Looking for whatever damage he can find.
Wish we could have got this maybe a little bit earlier, though. A round or 2 before to give Sinners the chance to make this a strong CT side. Instead, it's going to be 7, which obviously isn't the end of the world, but you do have to remember at one stage we had a 5-1 lead in favor of Sinners. So when you look at who's currently controlling the momentum, it is definitely Big, and if they can kick the second half off with the pistol and just lock down their CT side, as we said, Sinners could definitely be in some trouble. Because, well, I mean, Ancient is a bit of a risky pick. I'm guessing they've gone ahead and pulled out that pick just because of the success they had themselves yesterday versus Blink on it. And you would mention that the likes of Vertigo and stuff is obviously a pretty strong map for Big as well. So they maybe just avoided that. Maybe it was more so trying to avoid your opponent's strengths. But it's a weird one. They've had 1 successful win on it. Big have only played the 1 matchup as well. So they just as easily, if Sinners could have put a lot of time into it, knowing, of course, that these playoffs were coming up and that teams would be trying to pull it out as a bit of a wild card, I suppose. And they probably want to even do so themselves. So I don't know. I feel like if Big are able to just keep up with this current performance that we're getting and just continue shutting Sinners out, then we might see a 2-0 coming true. Even though initially I wasn't really expecting that to happen.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem for Sinners is going to be a very similar problem to what we saw Blink having in the Blink Sinners game yesterday on Ancient, in that Big are relatively unsighted into that map, right? They played it once, that was about 2-3 weeks ago. They are going to have practiced it, they're going to have innovated it, they've got Pro League spot on the line here, they know how important this matchup is, and when you're coming into a map completely unsighted, yes, you know, you haven't got as much experience and as much time and as much knowledge of the map, but your opponents haven't got any read on you either. They have no idea who's the A player, who's the B player, how do they look to contest mid control. And as a result, we saw on that CT side, Blink just being able to, well, be demolished, quite frankly, and Sinners were just having a field day. They knew exactly how that T-side played out. They'd watched the demos, they'd watched the VOD reviews, and they knew how to shut it down, and that is the worry for me now. If Big have done their homework on Sinners last night, who's, well, their T-side of Ancient left a fair bit to be desired, especially initially. And this could be a very rough second map for them. But back into the here and now, they do still currently have the lead over on Mirage. The HUD the wrong way round, so we'll get that fixed up for you very shortly. But they're heading on to, of course, there we go, the T side of things. About a round down, in need of an early pistol, and yeah, that molly is going to be everything.
How much warning does he get is the question, because that's going to be it's going to need to be put down pretty much at the perfect time, and so that he can get a few seconds then for teammates to rotate over. The problem is, it looks like we're going to see a little bit of an A-fake perhaps coming true. You've got B-Stick with those nades, you've got a man up in Palace alongside him, and well, the goal is going to be to try and sell out a little bit of a fake, and I like actually the position there, the jump peek on the pixel angle. Normally you'll see an up peek and deep in to try and get the info and the kills on that angle. Right now it's just fully about info so that Tizian can drop this as early as possible. And we're really not getting anything. This is incredibly slow from Sinners, especially considering they're on the T side. But Big are not in much of a rush to take them on or to even try and find any info about what's going on with how quiet this has been.
I mean, it's a nice enough idea. They're hoping that somebody pushes right into 3 crosshairs in the B apartments. The problem is, this is playing into the hands of that molly, as you pointed out, absolutely perfectly. As time gets lower and lower, Tizian, with that Molotov, becomes more and more effective as a stalling opportunity. Oscar's going to go out on the lurk, spots out at least one. He's got a second player in B-Stick to support over on this A side of things, and they are going to creep their way up. The Molotov has made its way back down. Tizian now alone on the site. Clean one tap for the first, but needs a lot more than that. He's been swarmed from all sides. Shock finally gets one, and that will be bomb planted. They're trying to deal with this lurk, and finally Xantares finds the headshot, but Neofrag's denied the plant. His teammate gone, he didn't support him well enough, and now isolated on the site, it will be found cleanly. Big with an easy-as-you-like pistol round. It was a nice idea, but just not protecting the planter well enough, just not quite keeping their hands on that B site. And with no bomb plant either, this buy's going to look very ugly if they want to go for it.
And yeah, Wolfie, it ends up being that one-sided pistol round, the convincing opening round in the second half from Big that I said I was worried about. If they get that, then they have the chance of keeping it going, kind of like they had throughout that entire previous half, basically, other than Sinners coming back in towards the end to get another round for themselves. So something needs to be done, and it's not going to be now. It will be instead in towards the following gun round, because they've gone for 5 Glocks. You're not seeing really any investment at all.
Don't see this too often these days.
Yeah, exactly. That's why it's caught me off guard, you know? They want to get the early gun round, and it makes sense with the current score. Obviously, they won't have too many nades, but you can still find your opponents maybe with a couple SMGs and perhaps even the FAMAS as well, as they currently have in their hands in this next round if they don't upgrade. We'll see whether they actually do any damage with the Glocks or not to force those upgrades.
Got the mid control. The nades in, going to chip away, not getting the damage they deserve. Boost into the window, looking like it's the call. Now, have Big broken the CT vent? Because if they have, this T side can start to lurk around, but they're going to try and split instead over towards the A site. Tabs and dink twice in the skull, taken out early, and that's a 4A1S down. Big have got to be careful here. They need to get past this one cleanly. Searson and Xantares trying to make that a reality. It is just the Glocks after all. Shock being aim punched. Does manage to grab another on the 4A1S before he's traded down. And Oscar, with only that Glock, is going to fall prey to the MP9s. But a couple of frags, not bad damage at all coming out from that T side. The 4A1S will be at least recovered, but only 2 rifles kept up. 1 SMG still in the hands of Tizian. And it does force the hand of the upgrades a little bit. You know, if those MP9s clean up nice and smoothly, then potentially we see Searson with his hands on an AWP into round 3. Instead, he's going to be dropping down onto the Scout. Not that that's too much of a downgrade for him.
No, we know what he can do with that. The heads just seem to be attracted to the bullets when he sends them out. Molly directly dinking down a player there and towards Connector. Not going to be too big of an issue for Tabson, but it does stop his early aggression that he wanted. But again, it looks like we're going to get a slower round being played out. I mean, yeah, I think this is just what we get from Sinners in general. If I'm thinking back to Ancient yesterday, and the T side that they played in comparison to what we've seen from Blink was just night and day. So I'm expecting, again, probably an overall slower half here, but eventually they will likely move through and get themselves a bit of mid-control, I'd imagine. Try and keep it pretty simple. Yeah, smoke going over. It was actually towards windows, so that should stop Xantares from really being able to peek through, at least not from there, only from short if he wants to. And they've got a minute to actually make the decision about what they're going to do with this now, and, well, that kill might help them with making their decision. Tabson peeking over the smoke apparently was spotted. Barely able to see him even with the X-ray, Wolfie. These players have eyes of steel. I don't even know.
Eagle eyes.
Eagle eyes, there we go.
Oh, awkward timing. Xantares, known for his aim, just not quite able to reel that FAMAS in, and now 3 on 5. Tizian actually alone over on the B site with an MP9, but that's not going to matter. They wander right into the molly. Shot goes down first. That's one way to open up your trade. And the molly gets more. A second burns alive. The bullets deal with the third, and this is falling apart. Not like this, Sinners. B-Stick is left. He's spotted out on the A ramp as well. Keto looks to use the elevation against him and finds the kill. Oh, a perfect situation, a perfect opportunity in the 3 on 5. Sinners had to find the conversion there. I have to imagine that's the nerves getting to them. 2 players burning alive in a Molotov just isn't right. Not acceptable at this level, and from there, Big able to recover brilliantly.
Yeah, they'll be feeling that one for a while. That may have just kind of spiraled this map completely out of control. It's going to give Big a chance to likely get a cleaner round here for themselves, hopefully build up a bit of economy, which they haven't been able to do so far, which is a positive for Sinners. Oh, not a good nade from Tabson. He's going to back out of there. He's like, not my day. Let's just, let's concede defeat at this point after dropping an aid like that. Nice timing on the molly there as well. I don't think they'd actually spotted the player, but maybe a step had been heard. Either way, just the digs, and, well, let's see what can be done. At least 1 kill from Neofrag. He did have Tabson still pushed out from Connector, so he's not able to control it anymore. But again, just 1 or 2 kills here will be fine, because the money is not there for Big. Take these AKs especially out of their hands, and you will be impacting their buy in this following round, which is, as we'll see with the score, of course, one that Sinners are going to have to win. So anything that can make it that bit easier.
Tizian jumping up, playing with fire, but he's got the angle advantage, and Shock already tagged down, will fall. Oscar, as you said, in need of a little bit of damage here. A couple of frags just to keep the economy ticking over, just to keep Big on that ledge, but the spray down from Tizian connects on 7 HP. They have their 12th round with 4 players kept alive, including that AWP. Well set now, Big on the CT side, as they do start to turn those thumb screws, and Sinners, I won't say it's last chance saloon quite yet with the 3,400 loss bonus, but it's starting to get that way. They are starting to run out of opportunities to have their impact on the T side. And that will be a concern. They need a little bit of momentum to take into their map pick of Ancient, right? This is Big they're coming up against, for goodness sake. They need to have something to keep them rolling into map 2. And at the moment, they are just being shut out of Mirage.
It's exactly kind of what we had said as well, and I'm kind of sad about that, that it's the T sides where they just look a bit flat. It was the same yesterday versus Blink. To be fair, Blink's own T sides didn't look too great, but it was the fact that Big obviously came through just popping off on their own T side even after having a pretty poor start. But I mean, I guess that is a positive. We've seen a pretty similar start, I suppose, for Big in that previous half, and they were able to recover their own CT side to still a fantastic position. So who's to say Sinners can't do the same? And well, they'll look to try and prove to us right now that they can. Early kill on Tabson. I don't know if they'll expect a second player now in the underpass, so perhaps Keto catches someone off guard. But he's going to have a tough time getting away with more and actually trying to keep his life considering his position. Although, as I say that, I think his teammates have pushed up through B up, so he might be able to join alongside them. The problem is the A-bomb site is gone. Neofrag boosted through window, creeping around through jungle. Pretty much puts the nail in the coffin for this round with that frag that came through. And you can see Csgo just keeping them busy on mid. If he even gets one of the kills here, that should be it all done. And well, there you go. Not quite the transfer. Might come back through for more, but again, he's just keeping them so busy.
Just buying time as that bomb goes down. It has gone down late, however. 2 on 3. Ito wants to have a go at this. Tizian is not interested at all, shall we say. Bunny hopping through underpass to make sure he can keep that up safe. Keto will have to back off to join his teammate to try and keep that firepower ticking over. They've made the road back a little bit complicated for themselves, to say the least, Sinners, but starting things off on the right foot. The rifle buy goes well for them. 3 players kept up, as always. The bare minimum you need to keep that economy ticking over, to keep it building on the T side of things. Of course, with Keto and Tizian saving, Keto will be able to drop 2 rifles across, and that will form the buy into the next round. They will have the AWP still available for Searson as well if he wants it. So not going to be an easy second round conversion, but if Sinners can get through this one, if they can find a way to get that success duplicated, then it should be against the Eco into the next round with only 1900 loss bonus available for Big. The buy's still not going to be great either. Dropping Tizian down onto the MP9 to make sure he can pick up the extra utility he needs. Tabson and Searson both going without head armor, although of course against the AK-47's not so much of an issue. And Searson, well, he's going to have his hands relatively full on that retake, because already we're seeing Sinners starting to queue things up over towards that B site, and Searson's caught in mid. He can hit the leg onto Neofrag, but not find the conversion. 2 players in con will look to re-aggress and should be able to catch the low HP player, but this is going to be the set B hit. It's been this the whole damn time. Flashes over the top. Tizian isolated on that van, but he's got an M4 in tow, and Xantares is good for 1 on the spray. Distracting from the MP9 as he grabs a second, and that's bombed down in the middle of sight. Tizian tugs himself into the corner, just needs to stay alive at this point. The rotations are in, and Big are absolutely perfectly set at this point. Xantares pop flashing his own teammate in. They're just playing with Sinners at this point. B-Stick swings. He's dealt with by Keto, and Oscar, well, he's left with a lost cause. He'll be mocked up by Tizian on the MP9. The flashbang making it awkward for him. He will get the AWP, however, and Big respond immediately. 1 rifle round goes wrong. Okay, we've got the response into the next.
Yeah, I love it. Tizian was so patient as well, just tucked in the corner with the MP9. Didn't give his position away, was like, my teammates got this, I'll pop out in the end and just take myself 1. As you had said, the team flash nearly made things awkward, but he does get the op back for Searson, and, well, now Sinners are all in. Lose this round, you have very little in the next. You'll probably have to eco and try and play for the overtime at that point. But maybe there's something that they can do right now. Zedko's actually got a solid trade on towards Searson on mid. It gives them a second up, which isn't really ideal on the T side, but I mean, it's better than just being stuck on the Deagle in Zedko's case. So he will be pretty happy that he's got that in play, and I was going to say it could work for some further picks. Obviously, though, jinxing it a small bit as he loses his head, but not before B-Stick comes back through. The IGL, he's always there when he's needed, isn't he?
Oh, dink through the vent. That's so unfortunate for Shock. Had the drop on Xantares. The wallbang just not quite giving him enough damage to finish. B-Stick and Oscar again left to recover. The real problem is Xantares. They know he's lurking in around ladder. He can drop into mid-window if he wants to. No, they need to clear something out if they're going to make either site a real possibility. Queuing their way up short. Keto, the early alarm sign on A, won't hear any of this, won't see any of this, so it is going to be the straight 2v2 over on the B side of things. B-Stick making sure ladder room is clear. A little bit of time left. 1 molly, 2 flashes. Where do they look to go? Clean headshot from B-Stick onto Tizian, and now Xantares low on HP, has to swing. Nice shot for 1, but he's quickly traded down. They've bought themselves a bomb site, and they've bought themselves a plant as well. Extra economy if nothing else into the 1v1. Oscar with the AWP up against the AK of Keto. He looks to shut this one down. The timings are awkward, though. He doesn't quite catch the man. Looks to re-peek in and hits his shot. The rifle buys exchanged back and forth now. Sinners have their 9th. And that loss bonus doesn't sustain Big very well whatsoever. They will be looking at some significant sacrifices if they want to punch back immediately.
Yeah, it's no longer Sinners who have big problems. It's Big instead. I mean, they've got a little bit. They're actually buying more than I thought they would. I figured at this stage, considering you've got 13-9, you probably just fully prioritize that buy, but I guess you've also got the way to look at it where you can try and make this costly and then just break them in the next round. The problem is that mid-charge not going too well in the initial second. It was 1 kill for Neofrag before he just backed off, realizing he needed to give his weapon away or give any chance for it to be stolen away, rather. And then it will all be handled pretty much by Oscar there on the AWP. So it's all on Keto. He's got Kevlar as well behind that Deagle. And it could perhaps be worthwhile trying to take 1 or 2 players with him to potentially even steal a weapon away, since they will have money to buy here in this next round. But they only get 1900, so I think if you're Keto right now, you probably do just fall off, get the extra few nades that you'll be afforded by actually having that Kevlar. But no, he sticks around for the fight. I don't love it.
Not the biggest fan in the world either, and with 4 players keeping up on the Sinners side of things, as that gap narrows a little bit further to 3. does put Big again in this halfway house of a situation. Tabson on 39.50. He'll be limited in his utility. Keto limited as well. Searson only gets a couple of flashbangs out. They are lacking here and there, but can the firepower do the talking for them is the real question of the hour. Fast control being taken up short already. They're looking to push the issue here, Sinners, knowing that Searson will be forced off by those early nades, those early smokes. They're already into ladder room and looking to boost up into the window as well, trying to pile that pressure onto the AWPer. He has to reset. The smoke gives him a little bit of a shroud of cover. Timing really going to be everything now, and Tabson peeks right into it. A freebie for an opener. Searson not quite able to punish Neofrag after either. He spotted the AWPer and a missed shot is punished now by Neofrag. He doubles up in the window. And a perfect start for Sinners. Oscar will at least be traded down as Big look for their silver lining. And they've got Palace aggression through Keto as well. They're well placed across the server at the moment. The only real vulnerability is a fast play into this A site. You can see Xantares starting to toy with the rotation off of B, but he's not going to be able to get there in time. Zedko occupies the mid window. As bomb goes down again, Big have got a decision to make here. It's a 3v4 retake. They've got a fast ramp flank, rather. And B-Stick is going to be caught off guard by it, so they managed to level things out at 3 apiece, and now this is on. Zedko and Neofrag are holding for a flank that will never come through that window. AWP will be recovered regardless. 2 players now up the ramp. 1 coming in from CT. They've got a nice split into this site. But Sinners are in fantastic afterplant position. Shock tucked in, gets a freebie, doubles up before he's taken out. And Xantares with a bomb that isn't planted anywhere near defusable position for him. Just has to back out of the situation. Sinners have 11. It's expensive. Just 2 players staying alive. But they are scrapping on their T side. And this is exactly what I wanted to see from them.
Yeah, we're getting it from them. It took a little bit longer to wake up. Also kind of the case of what happened on Ancient, where they let a few rounds slip in those early moments. Once things kind of started going wrong, it took them a while then, I guess, to get the reads of what they needed to switch up. And we ended up seeing them obviously getting that finish versus Blink. So although their T sides don't seem to be as strong as their CTs, it does seem like once they can get a little bit played out and get a read on their opponent, things do start to kind of brighten up a little bit. And we see the economy is just ruined for Big. They've got to take the eco here. So 12 for Sinners. They win the next gun round up to 13, potentially even off the back of that then into the lead. It just does seem like Sinners again have started to give us a game rather after it looked like they were almost down and out. So I am happy to see this. As we mentioned, though, it is basically a must-win. For Big, that is. Obviously, with Ancient up next.
They're making a bit of a pig zero.
I think Big will surprise us on Ancient, though. I think they'll have something for us if they're letting it through. Kind of had to with their bans, but I feel like they'll have definitely put some work in. Then they were starting to work on Train before that was removed as well. So they have the time there for a new map, I guess, to be worked on. As a couple of kills come true. It is the eco from Big, so as expected right now.
Smooth sailing. Sinners just mopping up the exits, making it look very simple. Keto on a recovered AK off the back of that initial frag, though. Clean one tap and another onto Oscar. He's making this desperately expensive and putting himself in with a real shout of winning this round now. Shock guarding the AWP in towards Con does leave himself a little bit isolated as the bomb looks to hightail over towards the B side of things. Zedko's going to look to plant this one down. Keto actually threw the molly, looking for the denial, and the timing might be perfect for him. Zedko seems aware of the threat, should have heard Keto stepping inside that molly and has to buy enough time for Shock to rotate in. Keto's got the isolated 1v1 and he's found it. Shock now on his own, up short, on the recovered AWP, looking to make this round a reality. Keto taps the bomb, he's not falling for it though. Hoping to call his bluff, but it's a clean headshot from Keto. It's an ace clutch. A recovered AK on the A site gives him everything. And right as Sinners look to accelerate, right as they look to put themselves back in the mix for this game, it's a 14th out of nowhere. An ace clutch for Keto. And Sinners back on the ropes once more.
That's the Keto we used to know back in the day. As I said, he might not be the man who gives you that every round. He might not be like the most consistent in that regard, but he just seems to pop off out of nowhere. And when you have players like Tabson and Xantares and Searson that you can rely on to get 1 or 2 kills in most rounds, that's exactly what you need. And well, he's having a game right now, 22 and 13. Was that the 1-on-4 or 1-on-5? Either way, it was the ace, but I don't recall quite how many. I mean, Sinners are going to be kicking themselves about letting that one go, even about the player pushed in towards B while his teammate was trading weapons and connector. It was just all around poorly played. And if they end up losing this round now, then it's probably over. They won't have much money left to try and fight back into this. And Tatson, out through connector, finds two of them, lines them up on the M4, sprays them down, and, well, takes away, as I said, pretty much all. No, never mind. I was going to say all hope, but Shock's just walked out B. He's going to have to clutch it on his own, but maybe he's got a bit to give us to try and one-up Keto. But no, quick shot from Saracen's going to land. The quick scope comes true. It's 15-11, map point for Big. As they've got themselves, again, back on their feet here on their own map choice. Not bad from Sinners overall, but again, they would have wanted this because if they had have found themselves the win here on Mirage, then they would have been primed on Ancient to try and take themselves the victory.
Would have been in a fantastic spot. Just not quite able to make it happen, though. And now with 3 Deagles, a couple of AK-47s, and an auto-director that fancies some cinematic third persons, they've got to try and find a recovery. It's 2 quick frags. Big already asserting themselves in this final round. Keto taking out 1 more. There's nothing these 2 remaining players surely can do. Make it 1. Oscar is on his own. We'll get that out of third person for you, ladies and gentlemen, but he's got to try and find a 1v5. Tabson, the first man up to face, being flashed into the angle, tapping away, not going to work out whatsoever. It is an initial victory for Big Clan. They do get it over the line on their CT side. I think it's fair to say it was a good lick more competitive than we thought it potentially would have been, but they get their map pick, and now if they can bring something a little special out of the bag on Ancient, they're well set for the 2-0.
Yeah, I've got to agree. We've all
Приятнейший зашив, 4 хелспоинта остается. Поляки очень дисциплинированно за дефенс играют. Отчасти, конечно, периодически они поджимают. Выход шот, минус фейкос, значит на выпаде забирает алмаза. Подождите, это, по всей видимости, был даблкил все-таки. Это был шашлычок. Да, это был шашлычок. Вот Рица в идеале тут даблпиком съесть, а Кенси даже сам справляется. А вот это уже хороший поворот. Бомба ставится. Молик немножко кривоватый, соответственно, бункери выживает. Ну что, 3 в 2, шикарные шансы цепляться за этот раунд. Ну там, конечно, все краснючие. Одного из которых добили. Флит! Да ладно, Флит сделал хедшот, еще на раунд вышел и поставил последнему 13-13 и не забирают этот раунд. Вау. Вот это поворот событий. Диглы сработали. Ну, по идее, Фурлан тут должен был делать килл. И, по всей видимости, обсервер даже не поверил во Флита. Он сразу переключился на КТшника с кольтом. На самом деле, победитель в этих дуэлях был Флит. Что, конечно, все переворачивает. Смотрите на деньги Csgo, посмотрите на деньги поляков. Теперь здесь нету денежек, теперь здесь проблемы, и поляки думают, что с этим делать. Да, раунды, конечно, берутся на тоненьком, что у одной, что у другой команды. Ну, Ancient интересный. Хороший Ancient. Поляки за дефенс действительно симпатично выглядят. 27-й раунд на экранах. Поехали, друзья. Это пистолетный, это диглы, 1 USP Tactical и шикарные шансы для FORZE забирать 14-й. Но не стоит никогда забывать, что диглы тоже ваншотят. Но тут вроде бы как справляются. Решили поляки поджать, и с этим FORZE порешали, да. Флит еще забирает снэча, фику 1 в 5, ну на этом раунд заканчивается. 14-й. 14-й все-таки за FORZE. Ну там, кстати, денежек насыпят, но не так уж их и много будет. Смотрите, 850, 450, 1000. То есть, если они будут закупаться, то там очень мало будет гранатного удержания. И вообще вопрос, будут ли они закупаться. 3700, 300. А как бы делать экономически еще один, это уже маппоинт отдавать. И ставится пауза, сейчас поляки будут думать, а что мы наделали. Зачем мы покупали в прошлом раунде армор? Потом оружейный сделать, да? Но это мы с своей колокольни так думаем. Мы же не киберспортсмены, друзья. А там киберспортсмены. Возможно, мы просто чего-то не понимаем. Но, тем не менее, мысли есть мысли, да? И отжимается пауза. И что будут делать поляки? Ну, давать 15-й, по идее, а потом закупаться и брать 2 раунда в ряд и уводить на топы, да? Да, именно так и получается. Ну, вот во что выливаются, скажем так, проигранные форцы, да? В легкий маппоинт, по идее, для команды Форзы. Поджимается массовая рампа. Джерри с алмазом по фрагу. Джерри еще одного успел подцепить. Риц 2 убийства с USP Tactical. И 1 калашек, кстати, забрали. И второе забрали. А вот это, кстати, шансы. Но не отпускают Фурлана. И Флит дорабатывает последнего Рица. Хорошая стрельба. 15-13. Маппоинт для команды Форза. И вот он закуп для АГО. Им необходимо выходить на 2 раунда в ряд. Либо все-таки клантек Форза забирает пик оппонента. Ставится пауза. Нам включается страшная музычка на фоне. Ну, возможно, сейчас я вам скажу, чья пауза. Пауза, кстати, от поляков, на минуточку. Пауза от поляков. Я думаю, что тактическую взяли Форзы, и они хотят сейчас придумать, как разыграть этот раунд. А раунд действительно важный. Но, по всей видимости, не знают, что делать. Так, ну поехали, давайте смотреть. 4 автомата Калашникова, отзорта снайперская винтовка. Отличный полугранат. В дефенсе, в принципе, тоже все шикарно. Давайте смотреть. 29-й, предпоследний раунд. Основа времени карты Ancient. Посмотрите, где находится Флит. Он уже в храме. Ничего себе. Он уже в мейне тусуется. А там, кстати, ни одного опорника по точке А нету. Только сейчас Фулан смещается. Снэчи на выпаде с 9 забирает Кэнси. И вот как раз таки игрок, про который я говорил. Я акцентировал прям внимание на Флита. Это номер 2. И он забирает того самого опорника. И вот вам, пожалуйста, вскрыта точка А.
Good map to be added to the pool.
I like it better than Vertigo. A lot. I honestly like the map. It needs some stuff done to it. Of course, it's gonna have to go through its changes that Valve puts to it. But right now, I like the layout of it. I like how it's very CT sided right now, and the T's got to work really hard to get in some positions. But right now, I like it a lot. I think it's a very positive change to the map pool.
Ancient, we actually really enjoyed the map. Of all the teams in NA, I feel like we're one of the only teams that are actually practicing and playing it, aside from Pain, and I've noticed Liquid has been practicing it as well, but they're obviously not in Premier. Other teams seem to be afraid of new maps, but we're embracing it, we're learning it, and surprisingly having fun with it.
They can try, but can't do it like Vinny. Yeah, no permission. I got it. Chasing love in an empty bar. Pour a drink till I make it past. The midnight hour seems to come and go, but I know. Walk on up with a drink in hand, sipping mixes cause you can. And all the lights begin to switch on. You're chasing the light, holding on for life, fading out, chasing the light, chasing the night, chasing the night, chasing the night. Holding on for life, feeding the high, chasing the night, chasing the night. Hotel rooms and city squares, champagne bottles, drum and snare. The sights and cities seem to fall away when you stay. Locked in love for a night or two, losing sleep just to get off you. Day to day you wanna stay out. You're chasing the light, holding on for life, fading out, chasing the light, chasing the night, chasing the
call my bluff for the last time. This ain't a song, it's a battle cry. No life. I see the clue between the strobe lights. I'm haunted, black face. Hey, follow me around, okay? Black face. Hey, follow me around, okay? Used to want it bad, used to want it bad, but I can't taste it. I can't help you now, okay? Follow me around, okay? Black face. Hey, follow me around, okay? Follow me around, okay? Black face. Hey, follow me around, okay? Got too much up on my plate, now I can't think. I said woke up to get extra, now I'm feeling this is it. Want the money, want the rest. I do purse, not no cess. They say Darnish, why you sad? I said I just need a thing. Red tape, got too close, I hit the city. Black face, show you everything you need till you forget it back. Someone said it's sad. I used to want it bad. I know it's in my head, keep seeing you too many times. I know it's in my head, keep seeing you. I know it's in my head. Follow me around, okay? Black face, hey, follow me around, okay? Got too much up on my follow me around, okay? Black face, hey, follow me around, okay? Got too much up on my follow me around, okay? Black face, hey,
Scrappier start than I think we were expecting on Mirage, but Big do get it over the line in the end. A 16-11 scoreline as they head on to Ancient. And Sinners, well, I've said it before, with Ancient in its current meta, it's a dice roll of a pick. It's a pick where you're not confident, you're not necessarily too sure you can beat the team you're coming up against, and you're hoping beyond all hope that they're coming into this with a little bit of a lack of prep, a little bit of a lack of knowledge, and maybe some bits and pieces you can look to exploit.
Yeah, sorry, I got confused by a second by the knife round, but it seems like they're just killing themselves. Because it doesn't normally come true when it's one of the map picks. Yeah, as you were saying, I mean, partly just because you don't know what to expect of your opponent pretty much no matter what. Even if they played it once or twice, the chances that they've swapped things up since then is just incredibly high, especially in comparison to other maps. And that's why I like that we have a new map in the pool, that things aren't as stale. It's going to keep everyone on their toes a little bit, make the vetoes a bit more exciting. I mean, we're already seeing some crazier picks and such coming out, so I feel like that's probably because of the fact partly that Ancient is in the map pool. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to seeing how this goes, and personally I do think that this will probably still be a 3-map series. I think we're going to get a vertigo out of this.
I'll have to wait and see if Big can bring their A game to this CT side early. It certainly was the T side where Sinners struggled a little bit, shall we say. They didn't quite have the blazing success of their first half against Big when it came to Blink, rather, when it came to their T side. So looking to shut it down early. 3 flashes, HE, and a molly as well. Fast play going to come through, though, from Sinners, and they're going to dodge the worst of the nades. Fully blinded up. Does well to trade for one shot. Full jumping. The nade comes in to do some good work, and actually Searson going to boost over the top of the smoke as well to look and see if he can find a little bit more. It leaves an isolated Xantares, though, and in the cave he will be taken down. Shock doubles up his account. They do have a molly. They do have a flashbang to try and open this site up a little bit, but already taking damage through these smokes. They need some quick picks to make this one a reality in the 3-on-3. They've spotted out the man deep down the ramp. The molly now will flush Oscar out of his angle of choice, but they're facing the wrong way as Shock gets a freebie. 3 in the round now, 3 clean headshots. He's losing teammates all around him, but as Tizian faces, he's on for his 4th, and it is on to Tizian in the 1v2. Shock on for the ace. The taps and the conversions are good. All 5 kills on the pistol for Shock. And Sinners, well, that's a blinding start to Ancient.
Absolutely fantastic. I mean, it was looking like the retake was doable for Big. The initial trade's kind of keeping it at least in a decent position for them. But yeah, nice lockdown then coming through from Sinners, and Shock in particular, obviously pulling off an ace for himself. That's the start that you want. You want an individual to just go absolutely massive in the beginning, try and get some confidence going, and just inspire hope, inspire confidence in everyone. And I think that's what that is going to do, pretty much. They've got a Mach 10 here. Other than that, though, all rifles, so they're playing this pretty safe, and they just want to head straight in towards A. The problem is a scout in the back lines is already going to connect a good bit of damage, and then you've got a stack here with multiple players now playing in from behind those smokes, so this could get very dangerous.
Tara's taking a lot of molly damage, though, will be converted on, and now B-Stick on that Mach 10, looking to stride into the site, clears the angles despite getting tagged down. Tabson and Keto remain, but they're isolated. They're split towards either side. Tabson does well to even get one. Keto does find another. That's a Galil recovered as well, but he's isolated in towards the temple and will be sprayed down by Oscar. It's a little more expensive than they perhaps would have liked, but Sinners survive the force buy. They do get through it with a couple of rifles kept over as well. Oscar keeps his hands on an AK. A Galil will be dropped across to Shock, and of course the reward, as always, is near enough a full eco from Big. They could pick up, you know, maybe a couple of pistols if that was something they looked to invest into, but it's going to be near enough full defaults. 1 flashbang as they look to take some control of middle early.
Yeah, I think if They do hear that flash popping though. Sinners will probably just make this commitment in towards B happen even a little bit quicker, and well, that doesn't matter. They've actually just creeped straight up the ramp, so the bomb's going to go down, and I mean, with 5 USBs and just the one flasher, you may as well set up for some exits if you're big. Try and take 1 or 2 players down in the end. Just make it a costly one if possible. Oh, shock. You got to hold A a little bit longer. Imagine being good enough to get an ace, but not a bomb plant.
Just CSGO things. Well, Keto boosted is spotted. You know there's a second player here as well. Just mopping them up. Shock again. Just looking lethal with the triple. Keeping the stats pumping as it's a 3-0 start for Sinners. Rifle buy, of course, going to be available for big clances, and we'll have his hands on the AWP. The rifles will come out for the remaining. Little bit of a bonus round coming out for Sinners. They're going to keep the Galil on Shock, the MAC-10 on B-Stick, but other than that, it's a very solid buy as they do look to stamp their impact onto this first rifle round. And again, looking for some early presence over towards the B side. Counter utility this time available for Big, and they do look to smoke out the doors, try and prevent that early lane control. Tabson sets himself up in towards the lamps. Yet more HEs come in. They've taken the mid control as well, Big. Looking to try and pincer in Sinners, try and keep them relatively passive in their initial probing, and they've managed it so far. Good presence in towards the lamps. They've even got Xantares coming up from mid past the boxes to try and make his presence known, but it's going to be a timing game, and 2 quick frags from Neofrag and Oscar open up this B site. They've got Xantares now desperately trying to make something happen from the lanes, but they know where he is. There's a low HP Neofrag to his left. B-Stick's been dinked up. He could certainly do something with this, but he needs to flush a player out soon because Oscar is on the flank and Xantares no idea at all. A 1-for-1 is not good enough. A quick trade, and again, 2-on-4 for Big to try and deal with. They've got the bomb well outside of the site, and if they can deal with Oscar, then maybe this is viable. They've got good damage onto Neofrag as well. But the frags just keep going back and forth. Neofrag catches Tizian, just not quite aware of his positioning. And well, Searson with that AWP, the low HP bars don't even matter, and they know exactly where he is. They're going to reroute through Donut into A.
Yeah, and I think Searson will at least be happy that he'll likely be able to save his up, but the problem is it's going to be a very quick 4-0 start from Sinners, and it was the T side yesterday versus Blink where they looked a bit shaky, where it took them a while to come alive and eventually get their finish. It wasn't as bad as it ended up being on Vertigo for them, where they almost let the entire map slip before finally finishing it off. Definitely did show some promise and on their T side here of Ancient, but it was the CT side where they just looked amazing, and it didn't seem like Blink could really do anything. So this is a scary position for Big to have already. 4-0 for Sinners, and well, let's be real, very likely a 5-0, as even with this up being saved over, at most I expect some pistols and Kevlar behind it. There you go, 1 shot at least being landed for Searson. Considering Shock's killed so far, was expecting him somewhat to maybe even come through just swinging like a madman to get that kill. But no, he's not allowed to. Searson gets the 1, that confirms it then with the other 2 players. Not really looking for much of a hunt. 4-0 though.
Clean start for Sinners, and that's going to be a worry for Big. It is still early doors. It is still that first rifle round, and Big historically have been a little slow to start in ESEA Premier, but as they go down onto the Deagles, the P250s, and of course that saved AWP from Searson looking to form the backbone, it is not a situation they want to find themselves in early. Having to concede the mid control in this round because they just don't have the utility or the firepower to really contest it. Sinners setting up for an early split in towards this A site. Aggression from Xantares. Can't land the shot though and is punished for it by Shock. Tizian now out on a lurk. Nothing he can do at all. Just middle of the site. Nobody there to help him out. And again, the site lost in an instant with very little damage found from these pistols. Searson will look to hide that off in the deepest corners of Ancient and hope that he can save it into the next round. I wouldn't mind seeing maybe Keto go for a little bit of aggression. Tabson might want to even just save the utility and Kevlar he's got. Sinners with a clean 5-0. Keto, missed shot. Does get it at the second bite, so a little bit of damage at the very least. Potentially a rifle to be recovered as well, but that's going to be held down by B-Stick. He's going to make sure there's no more of that funny business. Even hiding the AK away to make it an absolute certainty. And Big need to be careful here. They really need to hold on to that AWP and even the utility that Tabson has. Don't want to be hanging around in towards snipers for too much longer. You can see Sinners starting to clear their way down mid. Both players taking a lot of damage from the bomb, but they will get away with it. 5-0 the scoreline. Big in need of a CT rifle round pretty damn soon.
I think they'd like it right now if possible. I mean, on a map that you've only played once before, you don't want to be facing a pretty hefty comeback a little bit early on. At least make it a scrappy affair. But yeah, I don't know. We're getting a much better Sinners. I think this is probably them having looked at what went wrong versus Blink yesterday and trying to iron out some of those issues. And it looks like it's definitely working better for them here in the early moments. And big, they look. This buy though. Only one kit, which maybe could come back to be a small issue. I would have loved if Saracen maybe picked up the extra one or even Keto. But either way, they do have all the weaponry and all the nades.
Gonna take Lamp's control again, this time with Tabson in tow. The early mollies to make sure he's not contested. Oscar set on the high box though. Hot flash to try and get him off the angle. Doesn't quite work. Freebie. Tabson able to get at least one, but it's quickly traded away again. They look isolated over on this B bomb site. Keto tucking himself into the corners, seeing if maybe he can get a little bit of something, but spray down for free. The flash is over from Sinners, just too good. Oscar finds another quick pick. And in a matter of moments, the round is done. Xantares will try and hold on to that M4A4, but it is Sinners just punishing into this B site. And I think the worrying thing for me is, you know, you're trying to be unbiased. You're trying to find a silver lining if you are Big Clan. You're trying to find a way for those fans to get themselves into this. And at the moment, Big are just being bullied on their CT side. They're being pulled from pillar to post. The executes are just steamrolling through them, if we're being frank. Xantares looking for exits, looking to see if maybe he can get a little bit of damage. We'll at least be able to take out Shock, but well, he's 11-3. He's really not going to mind at all. And with the economy as it is, they're going to go on a little bit of a hunt as well. A couple flashes over the top. The AK's looking to pincer in on Xantares. He's managed to hide in towards Temple for a little while, but just not quite long enough. Beastic on 11 HP finishes the job. A 6-0 start as again Big look towards the half buy, and Sinners just looking a different level at the moment.
I mean, one positive is if it keeps up at this rate, then at least it'll be a quick map and we can kind of just forget about it and pretend it never happened. But I would like if Big would start to give us a little bit of a show. And again, it's not a map that they played. They played it once so far versus LDLC, who I've got to say are a little bit of the weaker competition than what we've been getting from Sinners throughout this entire season. They've been insane. Even if LDLC can have their own performances as well and do have very capable players. Oscar, though, pushing up on the ramp again. As you've said, B has been the favoured bomb site so far by quite a massive amount. And, well, you can understand why with the success they've been finding. No kills at all on the defense coming through for Big, despite actually having 3 players in position. And again, now you've just got Saracen left alone on the op. He has plenty of money, so he does look to stick around at least for that first kill. But, yeah, I mean, he's not going to be winning it, so there's no point just throwing that op away for no reason. Might even get more kills. There's one in towards Cube. Will continue to be hunted down, I believe. Sinners have plenty of money to do so.
Got him trapped in towards long. They've got multiple players coming his way. Flashes over the top. Missed shot as Oscar jumps over the bullet. And there's the punishment from Shock. It's a couple of frags, sure, but I mean, Sinners are one round away from a guaranteed lead at the half. And so far, Big haven't been able to throw any real spanners in the works. Either their T side is exceptional, or Vertigo is going to be the decider between these two rosters, because at the moment, Big don't seem to have an answer. Maybe this double up setup will be it. Keto picking up the secondary. See if maybe he can have a little more presence in this round. Shock already wide swung out mid. He's spotted through the corner of the smoke, however, and Tizian will be able to punish. First time in a while, we've seen Big with the early man advantage. They look to press the issue. They get dinks onto 2 players. But just not quite able to find the final bullet onto either, and off the back of it, Sinners just saying, well, let's stop messing around with this A stuff, let's stop messing around with this mid control, instead fully grouping up towards B. They've had Neofrag here the whole time, tucked into the cubby to make sure there's no lane aggression, and now they're going to group up for yet another execute.
Yeah, definitely one of the better positions Big have been in, though, with that damage that they've done. Problem is, it's Oscar who's one of the players at least, so he can still be pretty useful even on 5 health, because he can try and just pick some players off from the back with the op and Well, we'll see whether Csgo can at least get them the information here, of course, that the players up close and allow a successful trade. That's going to be the goal. Not any damage really being done, and it is then a headshot return from B-Stick, but that was needed because he get dinked himself. And I'm 99% sure that he was able to spot the barrel there of the upper and towards the spawn as well. So that should be confirmed, and it's called over to Oscar, who is just way quicker on the trigger. This should actually give them the bomb plant, and they've somehow got in towards B with a man advantage. Bomb just about going down, so there's still plenty of time, of course, now for Big to move through, and they do have a flank set up from Sirison, but he's on the up. It's not really the best weapon to be coming through cave with, so he actually decides to go around towards ramp. Oh, and it's unexpected by Oscar.
B-Stick on low HP, he's going to swing wide, and it's going to be onto Neofrag in the 1v2. Has some control towards the cave, but the smoke to try and keep him passive. He's got to go through it, and Tizian is able to read it well. They will have their first round on the board, Big. I have to say, a little gifted to them by Sinners. There was a molly that came off the ramp and actually mollied their own team into cave with the bomb. And that really slowed down the whole hit. You have to think if they'd been able to go a bit quicker off that, they'd seen Keto in towards short lane, and from there, the punishment really could have come through. But Big, well, they'll take anything they can get at this point. A first CT round on the board, of course. It's not going to get any easier. The buys continue to come through for Sinners. But it's something. It's a starting point at the very least as they look to take some early control in towards, well, in towards A long. I thought they were going for lanes with the utility, but instead they've backed it up and just looking for a straight A site hit.
Yeah, looking to be a little bit of a switch up. I think we haven't really seen this since the second round when they just charged in with their up against the weaker weapons, rather. So we'll see how this one goes. As it is overall a bit of a slower hit. Smoke setup, I believe, to drop down in towards Cube on the bomb site, just to give them some cover, as we had seen before, as I said, when we had them make a similar play, although with way fewer nades. So I do like the mollies and such going down. Jumping into the smoke, then Zdko's going to find Tizian's head above the box in the back of the bomb site. No real damage even to be done on the hold, and, well, there will be a bit of damage then done further on towards Zdko as he tries to put down the bomb. He managed to survive, and then he even gets revenge on Tabson. He's like, screw you for hurting me. I'm going to take your teammate out through smoke. This one's done already. Big need to just back off.
There's that lead at the half we were talking about. Neofrag even looking for the backstab here, looking to do some more damage. He spots out the player as he retreats through snipers. Sinners. Again, just mixing it up, right? It goes wrong over on B. Okay, we'll just queue up. Drop the lurk smoke, hit into that A site early and quickly. And the problem is when you don't have a lot of info about what's coming into that A site, you're essentially just playing a one-man miracle hold, and it's a matter of, okay, how many does he realistically get before he's taken out? And if it is a clean, quick takeout, if he can't even trade down 1-for-1, then it just puts Big in such an impossible position on that retake. And, well, the damage through the smoke really is the final nail in the coffin, as you said. Timeout taken. 8-1 down Big on the CT side of Ancient. They're going to keep buying into this one. Of course, the 3 saved rifles, Searson and Keto, could both drop to Tabson and Tizian respectively if they wanted to make this buy a reality. The economy at this point, it's a distant issue relative to the fact that their CT side just isn't working at the moment. They don't seem to have even a capability to get a read on what Sinners are doing. Their lane control is being cut off by the early utility. The set plays in towards A aren't being pushed proactively enough. They're not getting enough information before the hit comes in. And, well, this round not even going to be the buy. Instead, just a Deagle and a P250 to allow those 3 rifles to try and shine as they look for the miracle round on the CT side of things, Big.
I mean, we're not seeing a lot of proactivity either from them. It's more so just sitting back on the bomb sites mostly. A couple times tried to fight in around cave, but I mean, you've seen overall very passive A main plays other than the 2 times that Sinners have gone towards that bomb site, so you could have someone maybe push in that area, get some early control, just restrict info and such for Sinners, and maybe allow for that B bomb site even to be just bolstered up a small bit, as Tabson is in position with the up right now, so maybe he can make something happen. Already good for 2, and it looks like maybe a third was to come his way, but Neofrag moved through for the trade eventually, and even wants to force the issue in the spawn. Thankfully decides not to at the last second, because that could have been the death of him, and well, Oscar's going to deal with that player in the back anyway. The molly burns away and gives unfortunately Sirison's position away. And now Xanthars just has to back off. It would have been nice if he could have retrieved that off his teammate's body, but it wasn't allowed. A player pushed up, he decided he didn't want to risk giving away the M4, and well, for now I was hoping maybe even a mistake is made that could give him an opening back into this round. The problem is, without the kit, the time is already working massively against him.
And without any utility, that Orb has got a free shot on him. He gets the dink, but it's not quite enough. Neofrag able to counter well. Yeah, well, his head being plastered against the black back wall is going to be a fairly major problem, but 9-1 up, Sinners. Fantastic position for them, and I mean, this feels like confidence coming off Mirage. We said that they needed to be scrappy, they needed to fight that map just to give themselves the breathing room, even the belief that they could take it on this second map. They have come in with stacks of belief, and they are punishing everything Big are doing at the moment. Mid control taken this time by the CT side. It's the same setup over towards A. It's the long lurk kit. 4 players here. Searson looking to play up close and personal with that AWP, looking to use it like a shotgun, and he does get the first this time. Bomb spotted as well. He'll retreat into the site, has support rotating in from Donut and CT respectively. These smokes designed to let the T side get out, but it's trading well for Big at the moment. Tizian doubles up from Donut. And finally, Big, with a solid hold of this A site, have shut the round down. Neofrag left to try and recover the impossible 1v4. Bomb out in the middle of sight. 4 CT players looking to lock it out as well. Make no mistake, Big are not going to let this round slip away. Tizian up on Flom. Xantares peeking in towards Donut. Neofrag starts to swing it, but he's quickly dealt with. And Big will have their second round on the board. So finally, they do shut down the A hit. The concern for me is that as soon as A shut down, I expect Sinners are just going to loop back around towards B and start hitting it again.
Yeah, just going to swap it up. They've been alternating bomb sites pretty much, especially if things go wrong. If it works out, they might try it a second time. That's what makes it a little bit more unpredictable. But yeah, I mean, at this stage, how big of an issue is it? They have not been too successful in holding off. Obviously, that previous round right there goes well, but now they need to start replicating that. And ideally, I think we'll be looking for all 6 rounds if possible. The remaining 4 are going to be the goal. Deep mollies again on B. We've seen this a couple of times, just keeping them in place, and well, a nade coming over as well, that should do a little bit of damage. No, actually doesn't land. Just slightly too short, unfortunately, and well, that's given plenty of time for Neofrag to set up and actually wait for this aggression. Saracen is going to be punished big time, and at least he does, of course, get a lot of info about what's going on outside B, so they're going to start rotating, but there's so much time that Sinners could easily, if they wanted, still fall back with this. It doesn't look like they will, though. Straight up commitment towards B is going to come true. Oh, no, they're waiting for Kilo.
Oh, they're aware that there may be more aggression coming through Lamps. They suspect that someone may have pushed this corner, and they're going to clear him out with utility as well. Flashes in. He'll have his opportunity. Gets the second spray down as well. The trade not quite there. Finally, Shock does level the equation. But good damage done onto the third man as well, and that opens things up for Xantares on the flank. It slowed this hit right down. Tavson playing a tight angle, perhaps an unexpected one as well, as Beestick looks to creep his way up things here. Smokes exchanged. Beestick looking for a timing through it, and he's going to catch Tabson mid-rotation. There's the B site wide open, that long lane smoke. For now, at the very least, keeping the rifle of Tizian out of the equation. The backstab from Xantares is expected as well, and Beestick sprays him down for free. Knife out and punished for it, and once more, it's a huge clutch called for, and it's never going to happen. 2 lanes to cover, only 1 gun to cover him, and it's double digits for Sinners on the T side. This was their worst side against Blink. I'm already looking at Vertigo. In all honesty, if I'm Big, I'm just saying, use this as warm-up, use this as aim practice. It's going to be a 3-map series.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, looking at Vertigo, Big are actually on an 8-map win streak, which is obviously very, very impressive. Sinners themselves have had some pretty good games, and it is, I believe, their most played map as well. Yeah, they've played it over 30 times in the past 3 months. So it's one that they love to play, they love to pick as well, so I do think that we're going to have a strong fight on it. And perhaps even a win from Sinners if they can carry over this momentum towards it. Right now, though, maybe a chance still for Big to recover a small bit. 4 or 5 rounds, I mean, it wouldn't be the end of the world. You get that second pistol round, and then perhaps you have a chance to show a similar T-side to what we're getting from Sinners. And perhaps they can still even pull it up towards the 5 as well. Tizian and Saracen are going to try decide rather to re-aggress in towards middle. Had lost the control around the stairs, and that player was forced back away, so they're like, we'll abandon A, we'll get the kills there, and then we'll set up for the retake, and that seems to have been pretty much the perfect call. It's all on Zedco now.
1v3, fast flank coming in as well. Keto going to give him no breathing room. A 3rd round on the board for Big on their CT side. The start of a recovery. Of course, when you're in this kind of situation, the economy is never going to break for Sinners. It will be rifle buy after rifle buy for these 2 remaining rounds. I think that's been the biggest problem for Big, is they've never had not an easy round, but a breathing room round, right? A round where they're on a couple of pistols here and there. You can start to feel your way into the map a little bit more. You can maybe go for something a little more proactive to get your confidence up. It's always been rifles. It's always been AKs and AWPs. And Sinners, well, individually, they are an incredibly strong team, and they continue to show it here. The opening frag found by Neofrag against Antares, no less. Takes a good lick of damage for his trouble, but he's got the opening advantage for his team. And again, Sinners just happy to slow this one down off the back of that initial control. Starting to show a little bit of face in towards mid. Shock throws some utility just to flush out the closer angles. Choose on a nade for his trouble, but they've got Lamps control off the back of this Sinners. Such a critical area of the map, and they've managed to contest it well. Searson, aware of how critical it is actually going to push through and try and catch a timing up close and personal. Does manage to get the frag onto Neofrag. And levels things out well for his team now with more aggression coming into mid. They're going to backstab Tabson into Lamps to try and deal with B-Stick. And this is looking much better from Big. Much more proactive on their CT side, but they're punished for it. B-Stick expecting it. Tabson doesn't expect the second player in towards the Lamps. And now with that man advantage swinging back, Sinners is setting right again over towards the B site.
Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of Inferno in that regard, I suppose. Things start going wrong, just set up around this little banana-looking area, I suppose, even though it is not quite the same. Yeah, looking to try and just kind of, at that point, use their advantages. Unfortunately, now have lost it. Wanted to just challenge the upper here in the back right. Didn't have the smokes to put down, which is unfortunate, but they will actually get a second one down now, and Searson decided to push around it. Wanted to stop that bomb from being planted. You can see Big not too comfortable in their ability for the retake, and unfortunately, it may have cost them the round. As the numbers fall, Tizian's left alone, and considering they've got one more round here to worry about, that AK would be super useful. But he's not going to be allowed to hang on to it. Oscar just swings in with the up. 11-3 for Sinners, and I mean, I understand their name now because I feel dirty watching them.
This is a dominant performance. I'm starting to see why they picked Ancient now. I mean, we said, you know, the Big are coming into it a little bit unsighted. There's potentially, you know, they've gone home, they've worked on it, they've got the strategies and the counters, they've watched Sinner's game plan, and they know how to play against it. None of that even remotely relevant at this point. Looking for an 11-4 half Big. Famas and a Deagle going to contest down the A ramp early. Neofrag is here to meet them on the AK though, and the spray down is so damn clean. Both the B holders taken out within an instant. Tizian playing with fire in towards A long as well, and he's going to get burnt for his troubles. Antares left in the 1v5. I mean, we're 20 seconds into the round, and I'm finding 1v5s to the CT side. Antares, yes, he's got B, but he's got no information anywhere else, and with that frag onto B-Stick, Sinners know exactly where he is. The bomb will hightail it onto that A site. Of course, Antares is going to give this a go. He's 1v5. It's the last round of the half. Why not look for the miracle highlight play? But it's such an impossible situation. They've already got him locked out. The crossfires are already there, and it's going to be a 12-3 half. Sinners utterly dominant to start things off on Ancient.
As we said, should be way more exciting. You've got Big on an 8-map win streak. You've got Sinners who played a map just a stupid amount. So I do expect it to be a very exciting one. I mean, 36 games in 3 months, man. That is incredibly active.
That is...
They have no other map over even 20, I don't. Let me have a look. 17, 2, 1, 21, and 21, and 2. Yeah, there's just kind of like a few maps that they like playing.
Yeah, I mean, not only is it an extremely large number of plays on any map, but for Vertigo as well, which is...
Yeah.
It's not the most complicated map in the world in terms of executes, is it? Lock the smokes out, take the site. So for them to have that kind of experience on it is just insane. And I think for Big, this sort of scoreline is going to be very alarming heading into Vertigo, unless, you know, we have to put the caveat there. If they can take that second pistol, if they can string together a few rounds here and there, if their T side is their strength and they can look to leverage their individuals, then maybe they bring some confidence. But, you know, as much as they're a great Vertigo team, Sinners, we've seen them disassemble teams on their CT side of Vertigo. We have seen them just completely dominating situations. And with how they're dominating this map, it's not like Big's confidence is going to be at an all-time high here. It's not like they're going to be feeling all their shots and, you know, winning all their angels. Antares uncharacteristically quiet so far in this map, and I think there are definitely some concerns to be dealt with moving forwards for Big.
For sure, just from this season,